Hi students, today I am going to take a very important author you must all be knowing and must have read also about him, that is Salman Rushdie. Yes, and there can be no doubt that Salman Rushdie, irrespective of his background, he is a cosmopolitan, even an international writer. He is at home in the East and in the West. And the two profoundly different cultures, East and West, have undeniably conditioned his identity and his writings, but the fact of the matter remains that he is an outsider. He is an outsider. And this million-dollar question, this problematic question of identity has come up in many places. He has invariably stressed the positive and even the optimistic aspects of his cosmopolitan footing, which enables him to broaden and differentiate his worldview, to intensify his awareness of Indian reality, and from this stand unfold and depict the historical, the social, the political problems of his countries, India and Pakistan, and the human, the existentialist, the existential dilemmas of the individual. Salman Rushdie has emphasized that imbibing Western and Eastern literary traditions should by no means be regarded as infidelity towards one's own cultural heritage, but as a broadening of horizons, a bridging of gaps. And he has expressed his conviction that the Indo-Anglican literature, which is for historical reasons a cross-cultural phenomenon anyways, can only gain in stature, scope, and even self-confidence by accepting its national as well as international identity. Now, Salman Rushdie was born in Mumbai or Bombay, that is June 1947. June 1947. A little before the great independence of India, in a liberal and rich Muslim business family which has its roots in Kashmir. But my dear students, his lineage and as well as the country is somewhat disputed. He is taken to be a, a Kashmiri by some, while other regards him as a Parsi, while still others think that he is a native of Afghanistan. He is considered to be born in India, while not many take this proposition and regard him to be born in Pakistan. He was brought up in a villa on a Warden road that resembled Meth Wold's estate in the novel. Initially, he attended the Cathedral school and was sent to England for further studies when he was only 14 years of age. At Rugby School, आपने नाम सुना होगा Rugby School का English literature में. At Rugby School, he got the first taste of British racialism, which would find manifestation in the Satanic verses. In the Satanic verses. The book held him into the eye of storm as a controversial figure for the alleged profanity. फतवा समझते हैं आप? FATWA. फतवा मतलब होता है डेथ सेंटेंस. बहुत लोगों को पता होगा फतवा का मीनिंग. A fatwa, that is a death sentence for his death, was duly served by the ruler of Iran. And yes, he had to spend considerable time in the hiding under the protection of the state. His parents migrated to Karachi, that is in Pakistan, in 1964, 17 years after the independence of India. He went to Cambridge to study history in the next year and returned to Pakistan for a very short duration, but Pakistan could not hold him for long. And brought up in the highly spiced non-conformity of Bombay, Salman Rushdie could never like Karachi, which is echoed by Saleem in the novel. He tried a career in acting. He tried a career in advertising at England, and finally joined a firm as a copywriter and toured extensively in the US, Canada, and Europe. He soon took up to writing and made his full-time vocation, made his full-time entertainment, and made his full-time, settlement in England. If you take the name of Midnight's Children catapulted Rushdie's into instant fame and glamour, and the book is described as a scintillating, humorous, and aggressive book that mixes facts and fantasy in a linguistic extravaganza. Salman Rushdie invented new metaphors. He invented new idioms and novel translations to interpret the multi-layered reality of the subcontinent. If you are not aware, then I would like to tell that the book Midnight Children sold more than 5 lakh copies worldwide and was translated into many European languages. In 1993, Midnight Children was adjudged the Booker of Bookers, the best book in the 25 years of the Booker history, and Rushdie became one of the first practitioners of the craft, that is the fiction. Now, the intellectual, the intercultural, the intertextual richness of Midnight Children, of Midnight, again I am repeating, just have these words written in your copy. The intellectual, the intercultural, the intertextual richness of Midnight Children teases the readers and challenges them to comprehend and come to grip with them. His works undoubtedly creates tension and also evoke a lot of conflicting emotions in the readers. And with each new novel, Salman Rushdie initiates fresh discussion, fresh debate, and all this points to and endorses a creative genius which compels us to evaluate, to re-evaluate, and again re-evaluate his works. Salman Rushdie has been a much discussed author ever and ever. with the publication of the Satanic verses in 1988. The discussion of Salman Rushdie went beyond the realms of literary criticism. Why? Because this novel caused a lot of furor worldwide and the work was banned in India. However, Salman Rushdie has since emerged from the political and the religious quandary and re-embraced the literary world. If I talk about Midnight Children was bestowed with the Booker of Bookers and he was rated as a major novelist. And this novel, Midnight Children, spans over a period of 70 years from the time of India's independence to the declaration of emergency by the then Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Salman Rushdie took 4-5 years to complete this novel. And the 500-page novel covers the major political events of modern India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. All is seen and told by a young man born at the stroke of midnight when India broke free from the fetters of slavery and turned over to freedom, 1947. And the novel appears to have overtones of autobiography also, as the narrator, protagonist Saleem Sinai, who bears a very close identity to Salman Rushdie. And yes, you will find, quote unquote, that he has admitted, quote unquote, mein likha hua hai, the fact that he is called Saleem and I am called Salman. He is called Saleem and I am called Salman. It is not surprising that the identification is made. The book is an attack on the rulers of the three countries, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Rushdie has been able to present India's manifold diversity of life and language. Book 1, Book 2, unfold the best of Bombay's culture, and Book 3 serves the disappointment and much of India's contradictions. And the narrator protagonist, Saleem Sinai, is associated to all the important historical events. And we find there an interlink between the nation and the life of the protagonist, Saleem Sinai. Salman Rushdie adopts the old technique of the first-person narrative. The characters are introduced long before they actually appear on the lines and on the pages of the novel. It creates suspense in the minds of the readers. Rushdie makes personal comments here and there, and he has become one of the outstanding Indian English writers like Raja Rao, Mulk Raj Anand, and even others. Salman Rushdie's fantasy is a mental tonic. He has a lot to say about India where he was born. His assertions on secularism and religion are even more ambivalent. His theme in his novel are quite varied. It is neither stereotyped nor predictable. There is nothing like a word hai, consistent theme. There are signs, however, of the certain key ideas shaping up of a perspective developing in his writing, and Rushdie takes up the Indian traditions, narrated the things as used to be in the Mahabharata, Panchatantra or others. And while giving the entertainment of the oral storytelling, he makes his serious political comments. And in most of his novels, the theme is of fragmented identity in a very hostile world. He makes a good blending of the Indian oral tradition and the recent European literary criticism. Comparison to the writers like Grass and Kundare will not be an exaggeration. मधुसूदन राव का आपने नाम सुना होगा, मधुसूदन राव. He opines that time is central to Rushdie's fiction. The narratives in both Midnight Children and Shame, आपने इसको भी शायद सुना होगा, SHAME. The narratives in both Midnight Children and Shame move from victimizing history to the painful anonymity and disintegration and finally silence. And apart from this, students, Midnight Children has been translated into 12 languages and deals with the incidents of pre and post independence of era of Indian subcontinent. It covers the issues of politics, religion, and fanaticism. But the idea about religious faith and the nature of religious experience and also the political implications of religious extremism are applicable with a few variations to just about any religion. If I talk about the 20th century, in the 20th century, fiction became an important instrument for the reform, social reform in the hands of writers like Mulk Raj Anand, who had expressed their Marxist ideas fully in the novel Two Leaves and a Bud. Two Leaves and a Bud. And Raja Rao, representing the Gandhian values as well as the Marxism, writing Kanthapura. But once the independence has been won and Indians came to govern themselves, Indian writers seem to lose a sense of purpose and to lose a sense of direction. They began to lose those things which had won the public. Writers like R.K. Narayan created fiction town of Malgudi and filled it with the ordinary, everyday common folks, and also made so much interesting writings, but that failed to create any impact as the people had become accustomed to the revolutionary writers with characters like villains, victims, or tyrants. Indian writers were suffering from a sense of irrelevance, from a sense of obscurity in the 50s and 60s. But Midnight Children created not ripples, but waves. And people and writers wondered as to what had happened. And the younger writers went about to produce their imitations of Midnight Children. Salman Rushdie gave all these people something to think about and copy, just as G.V. Desani Desani had done 3 decades ago. And they did with great work. Even that did not have the kind of effect Salman Rushdie had. And the novel appears to have the overtones of autobiography as the narrator, protagonist, Saleem Sinai, bears close identity to Salman Rushdie. Again, I am repeating the sentence which I have already told you. He admits the fact that he is called Saleem and I am called Salman. It is not surprising that the identification is made.